Greetings, everyone. My name is Kyle Cronan, and I work here in the Financial Services Office at the Olin Business School. I want to thank you for taking time to join us today for financing your graduate education, specifically for international applicants. And as part of this process, I want to give some quick tips to help develop your financial plan of success. Had the pleasure working at Olin almost 10 years with lots of international students. I really enjoy working with everyone here at Olin. I look forward to working with you as well. Before we get started, I want to give a little quick shout out. I always do this whenever I do a webinar to Karen, who is actually one of our new recruiters here at the Olin Business School. She's doing a wonderful job, and you'll probably come in contact with her during the admissions process. So give her a quick hello, say a thumbs up and everything like that. She's doing a great job. And there's an old saying in the world that time is money, especially when you're in finance like me. So let's go ahead and get started here, if that's okay. So today's agenda, I want to cover something called a student budget, just a high-level view of what does that mean. I want to cover a couple types of student loans that might work for international students. What are the limits on these loans? How can these programs be used to help fund your education? I want to talk about some anticipated timelines for the processing of student loans. I also want to point out a couple of quick things or some terms that you'll come across once you're officially admitted into the program, something called student accounting, WebStack, and exactly how refunds work. So what does that process mean? And then at the end, what we'll do is we'll, go to a slide about some events, and then I'll leave it open for a couple of questions and answers. So that way we can kind of sum up everything. I know we have a lot of folks joining us today, so please feel free to send your questions. We're happy to answer those as best we can going along, okay? So let's go ahead and get started here. Student budget, what is that? Okay, well, the answer is a student budget represents the maximum amount of financial assistance that you may receive for a period of time, okay? Here at the Olin Business School, we work on something called an academic year. So the academic year, let's say if you're in a full-time MBA program, which is the budget we have here for last year, the full-time MBA program is actually a 2-year program. However, I can only process federal, financial assistance for 1 year at a time. I wish I could do 2 years at once. That would cut our workload in half, but the U.S. government will not allow that. So, but what we had to do is we had to take all our loan applications by that specific period of time. Now, with our student budget, you'll notice that I included some tuition. There are some fees out there, including health insurance and the sort. There's also components for living expenses, okay? Now, these living expenses represent a student portion that you can use for books and supplies, to pay for your lodging, for your apartment, to get food and other items such as that. So I'd like to include that information here. Now, this is a 2017-18 budget. The 18-19 budgets won't be available probably till, I'd say, March 2018, maybe a little bit later. But we will post those on our Olin Business School website once they're available. One point I want to pull up with this, and you notice at the bottom of the screen in red, note this is not the minimum funding needed to obtain your student visa. If you're an international student, you have to go through a visa process to get, to be able to come to school here. The student visa will take some components of these living expenses. However, there might be others. If you have dependents joining you, there's a certain amount that's allotted for that. So the numbers required to get your student visa will vary based on what this student budget is. This budget basically represents the amount of funding that you can get per student for said expenses, okay? And these budgets are set across all academic programs, and it varies by your course program. If you're a specialized master's student, if you're an executive MBA student, whatever program you're in, that budget will vary based on length of your term and which program you're in specifically. So just wanted to share what that information was. It will definitely come up a little bit later on when we're talking about loans. So that's why I wanted to lay out that playing field there. So let's dive in. Types of student loans. Well, there's two primary types of student loans available. There'd be student loans with a U.S. cosigner, and then sometimes there might be some programs that do not require a U.S. cosigner. These are often called a non-cosigner loan. So let's hit with the loans with a U.S. cosigner. First off, international students will need some type of U.S. cosigner for this program. Within the applications themselves, the applicant ID number requirements will actually vary by the program. There are some programs that do not require that you have a social security number or a tax ID number. However, there are some programs out there that do require that you have some type of SSN or a taxpayer ID number. So be sure to look into those details when applying for the loans. Also, within these private loans with a U.S. cosigner, the cosigner requirements for the program will vary as well. There are some programs that will only accept a U.S. citizen as a cosigner. However, there are other programs out there that will say, hey, a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident can be a cosigner. So when looking through the loan details, be sure to follow that trend and see what information works best for your personal situation. As with any private student loan, the rate you get will depend on your credit score and also the credit score of your cosigner. The applicants are submitted directly to your lender of choice, and you're free to choose any lender that you wish that offers a student loan. We actually have a historical list of lenders available on the tuition and financial aid pages of your program at our website at olin.wustl.edu. There is a special database called elmselect.com, which allows you to drill down and kind of do a side-by-side comparison of these programs. And it helps you kind of gauge, hey, am I interested in this program? What are the requirements for this program? And it gives you any type of repayment incentives that they offer as well. Moving on, types of loans, private student loans without a U.S. cosigner. Now, this is one where I get a lot of questions every year. So with these loans, no U.S. cosigner is needed for these programs. Once again, the applicant ID number will vary by the program. So, some programs will require that you have some type of taxpayer ID in your country of origin or some other type of, personal identifiable information. These programs also may offer variable or fixed interest rate loans, depends on the loan terms themselves. The rate you get depends on the credit review process offered by the lender. So, with a lot of these lenders, what they'll do is they'll do a credit analysis, or they will say, hey, our loan program will depend on the implements, what your debt to equity ratio, or some other type of financial components as well. With these programs, applications are submitted directly to your lender of choice. I could give you two examples of loans used here by WashU students in the past. One is called Prodigy Finance. I included their website here on the slide. It works essentially for all of our full-time programs. And another program that's available for our full-time MBA is the Olin Business School offers a non-cosigner MBA loan program. Information for that is actually available on our website of the full-time MBA program. Once again, this is historical information. New loan rates and everything for the 2018-19 year will not be available or finalized until later next year. But at least this gives you a kind of a starting point when you're developing that financial plan of success. A couple additional points on private student loans. Remember, the amount that you can borrow is based on a combination of what the lender will give you and also the university's cost of attendance. Now, this is where that cost of attendance, that first slide I brought up, this is where it comes in, okay? If my name was Buffett, let's say Warren Buffett, and I'm approved for $1 million loan, I can only borrow up to the cost of attendance for whatever Washington University is. And this cost of attendance is cost of attendance minus any other financial support that you receive, okay? So you're not allowed to double dip. However, you can use multiple loans to get up to that cost of attendance to fund your education. Some sample loan periods that are used on applications. If you're attending a program that starts in the summer term, we can actually do a summer only semester. We can do semester by semester, fall only, spring only. Most often, if you're in a standard program that attends during the fall and spring, I recommend that we do a fall-spring combination loan period. That way you're doing one loan application for the entire academic year, fall and spring, whenever those come about. Once again, we can go through that details once we go through the process. Now, with private student loans, the application process, and you notice I've underlined after tuition deposit. Whenever you apply for admission to the program, we would do an interview process and there's a vetting process. And then if you decide to join us, you're required to put some money down, a tuition deposit that goes against your first semester's tuition. Once you have that tuition deposit in place, you're actually an official student at Washington University in St. Louis at the Olin Business School. Once you complete that process, that's when I recommend that you submit an application to the lender of your choice. I would contact the Olin Graduate Financial Services Office to have the certification process completed. Now, however, we cannot complete this more than 30 to 60 days prior to the start of the term of your program. So, for example, if you're starting a program that begins in August of 2018 and you fill out your loan application in January of 2018, we will not be able to certify that loan probably until June. Okay, you have to be a student account has to be created. There also has to be tuition and some other components as well. There's checkpoints along the way to verify that you're a student so that we can actually certify this loan for the U.S. government. Once the school completes their certification process, the lender you chose will contact you to complete some additional disclosures. Usually there's a right to cancel, there's extra finalization of interest rates that are approved, and you actually have a cancellation policy to where, after so many days, I may cancel this loan. Once all the required documentation is received, the lender will disperse the funds directly to Washington University at the appropriate time. When we say the appropriate time, if you are a fall semester student, the funds will come in during the fall semester. If you are a summer semester student, it will come during the summer term, okay? So these are split up based on whenever your tuition is due. They are submitted directly to your tuition billing account called a WebStack account, and that's how everything is accounted for. And this is actually what makes it a school certified loan rather than a personal loan. School certified, we verify your enrollment, verify your attendance, your classes, all of that. In addition, these loans are dispersed directly to the university that you're studying at, not to you like a personal loan. So that's where the difference comes in as far as a student loan rather than a personal loan. Just for private student loans, just anticipated timelines for the upcoming year. For the spring starts are usually January of 2018. So we're actually engaging in certifications right now for that part of the process. We do have some summer starts that may start around May of 2018 or classes that go during the summer. So with those periods, please bear in mind that that's the time frame that the tuition would be due. So you can back off 30 to 60 days to do the application process. The fall 2018 starts, that actually vary by program. I work in financial services. I have about 6 different start dates for the fall semester. So it actually vary by your program. Full-time MBA may start on one date. Executive MBA has a certain date. We even have, professional MBAs to attend in the evening. Those all have different types of dates. So the loan disbursements and the approvals will float based on that date. And the final point is the Olin non-cosigner MBA loan program. Remember, this is only for full-time MBA students. I usually get a lot of questions on that. That program is usually available around September of every year. So the anticipated timeline for that would be September of 2018. But it's based on whatever WashU Legal Counsel does the approvals of the final disclosures, and we have to have sign off from the dean. But typically September of the year is when those programs are available. Now, a couple of things. I threw out some terms and some verbiage here. Just want to give a clarification. You'll learn more about this going on, but we do have an Office of Student Accounting. Now, the Office of Student Accounting administrates the processing of tuition. We also have an interest-free payment plan that you can sign up for through the Student Billing Office. And also they administrate the processing of third-party billing. For example, if your company is sponsoring your tuition, you could set up direct billing to your company so that they can pay your tuition directly. Their website is financialservices.woostel.edu. Now, please remember, we won't be able to do anything until you are officially admitted and you have placed your tuition deposit, okay? Because you have to be a Washington University student for that. WebStack, I mentioned, that's a portal by which payments are received to the university. These accounts are created after your tuition deposit is received. And I put this down here as far as loan and refund disbursements, just to hit it again. For the summer semester, it's usually around May. For the fall semester, August, September is that time frame. And for the spring term, it's usually around January, whenever those disbursements end up coming to the school. Refunds for any credit balances are processed within usually 7 to 10 business days after a loan disbursement is received. So let's say that you're able to gather funds for tuition plus let's say $5,000 for living expenses. Once the money comes into your web stack and is posted, within the next 7 to 10 business days, you would actually get a refund of that $5,000. It could be in the form of a check or a direct deposit to a U.S. banking account. One of the things is for the interest repayment plans, you do have to have a U.S. banking account set up. We actually do have a branch of a bank here on campus that will work with you to help through that process once you arrive on campus. Upcoming events, I want to remind everyone that we have some, there's other events on our website, olin.wooster.edu. We have some YouTube events, obviously online. There's actually events where you can come to campus here. I have a note here that we actually have a webinar today at noon. So if you want to rejoin us, please sign up for that. We also have a preview day coming up in January 27th of 2018. But things are always happening here at the Olin Business School. Whenever I work with students, I always say, there's usually 3 E's that I try to focus on. We try to encourage you, to engage, and to enlighten. So encourage each other. We encourage you to get involved. We encourage you to work with us, to contact us with your questions. We encourage you to engage with us. Engagement is what brings the organization such as Olin together. Engagement allows you to grow your network, allows you to grow personally and professionally. And enlighten. This whole process enlightens the way that you view the world, the way that you view business, and allow you to make dramatic changes going forward down the line. So I encourage you to attend some of these events. If you can't make them all, that's fine. Pick out a couple and continue to engage with us along the way. I have here a big thank you. I want to encourage you, the Olin grad admissions at wooster.edu. Please reach out if you have any questions about the application process. We want to hear from you. The reason why we do these webinars is to get this process going. We want to take down those barriers of, I'm not sure where to start or where to begin. Well, webinars like this, the way I'm talking to you, that's the way we interact every day. We encourage with students, you're important to us as a prospective student. But our current students are important, and our alumni are also important. We actually work with all 3. We're all admissions. We're all student affairs as part of this journey. We're happy to partner with you through that. And we're also partners as alumni. Once you graduate from school, you're always a member of the Olin family. And we're happy to work with you during that process. One frequently asked question I get as part of this, I was jotting some notes down, is, what about this student visa process, this I-20? If the loans are not certified till after my tuition is billed and other things like that, how can I use a loan to kind of help with my I-20 process? Can I use it for my declaration of finances and et cetera? And that answer is yes. However, it would not be a school certification. What would happen is if you're applying for the loan, you would actually need to get a statement from your lender saying you're approved for X dollar of loan that they can use towards tuition and fees for that program. Now, some countries will vary if they will accept that or not, but that's one thing that you can request a letter to help with that documentation process. If you plan on using the loan, or even if you don't plan on using the loan, but hey, you have resources along the way, at least it's a guaranteed source of funding that can be used to help get you here on campus to get through that student visa process. Let's see if we have any other questions up here. So I'm going to turn my head away and let's look at the chat box. Okay, one moment. Okay, here's a good question. Does the estimated student budget cover the 2 years of schooling or just a year? That student cost of attendance budget is actually just for 1 year of the program. So that budget is updated every year based on, inflation and other items such as that. So that budget is per year is what you could use for those expenses. Very good question. I intend to combine non-co-signer loans from Prodigy and Empire Finance for my degree because I do not have a U.S. co-signer. Prodigy Finance does not provide a 100% loan, and that is why I wish to augment with Empire. Do you work with Empower Finance? Okay, so right now we have not processed any loans through Empire Finance. However, that is one of the organizations that we are working to develop a relationship with. We are actually working with that right now as we speak. There's actually another lender as well that we're working to develop other options. So we definitely want to have, the most options available to help you get the funding you need for your degree program. I have a lot of colleagues that have used Empire Finance at their schools, and I've heard very good things about it. So we are definitely working on that to move forward. Good question. I think that's all the questions we have right now. I want to encourage you to, once again, please email us, touch base, reach out. Any questions or concerns along the way, please let us know. We look forward to working with you, and I look forward to seeing you here on campus at Washington University in St. Louis at the Olin Business School. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.